So, good evening. Can I go ahead and start?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Reverend Michelle Senegal, and tonight I will be addressing listening from the heart. But before we start, let me just do a very brief affirmative prayer to get us grounded and centered. And so I want you to let go of everything that occurred before this eternal now moment. Right here and right now, all that you need, you have. And what I know is that there is infinite intelligence in the universe, and I so identify with it. And I'm declaring that it speaks through me as we go through this conversation this evening. The goal and the objective is to increase our empathy and compassion for others. And this is a skill that everyone needs at every moment in every situation. So I'm giving thanks for the opportunity to speak on this subject. I'm giving thanks for everyone who has said yes to being here. And I'm giving thanks to Spirit for placing the idea in my mind and giving me the wherewithal to address this topic in, I pray, a very successful way. So I release my word now unto the laws of existence, knowing that the outpicturing of my word is happening right here and right now. This session is already complete in the mind of God, and therefore we are participating in the outpicturing of the invisible brought to visible form. I release it, I let it go, I let it be, and so it is. So why this topic, listening from the heart? It's because there really is a lack of compassion in the world. And as light bringers and bearers and truth seekers, this is a skill that will always, always serve us well. So I thought, why don't I cover listening from the heart? So here's my agenda. We're going to define, what is Reverend Michelle talking about? What does it mean to listen from the heart? And then I'm going to share with you 4 steps to empathic listening. And then you're going to have an opportunity to practice empathic listening. And after that, I'd like for folks to share their reflections on their experience here tonight. So I'm trusting that everybody is willing and everyone is saying yes to taking responsibility to their own growth. Let me go the other way. So, what does it mean to listen from the heart? And this is really a explanation that I arrived at through my research. Can everyone else be muted, please? I'm getting a little background noise. Thank you. So what does it mean to listen from the heart? Listening from the heart requires listening with your eyes as well as your ears, as well as your intellect, your head, and more importantly, your heart. You're listening for feeling and meaning, and you seek to understand first, then be understood. And what I know too is that one primal need that all people have is to have a voice, to be heard, to be respected. And this practice facilitates all of that happening. So the term that is often used for listening from the heart is empathic listening. And I believe that it's so powerful because it gives us accurate information to work with. Instead of projecting our autobiography, and what do I mean by that? Oftentimes we'll listen to other people's stories, and then we go into our own story. So therefore, we're not fully present with other people. So instead of projecting our stories and our autobiography on other people, we're fully present with them. We are open-minded and we are listening to understand their motives. We're listening to understand their feeling, their objectives. And instead of projecting and making assumptions about other people's thoughts and feelings, we ask clarifying questions in an empathic way. And then also, when we listen empathically, our interpretations of what we are encountering are much more accurate. So we're dealing with the reality of the situation and not our illusion or our projections. So listening from the heart involves 4 elements of empathic listening. Number 1 is perspective taking. And this may be a little different, but you all know me by now. I don't do things the same way everybody else does. I have to find my own way. And so that means that if you have questions, I need you to go into the reactions and raise your hand. If you have questions about anything that I am saying. So perspective taking, what does that mean? That means that we have the ability to see a situation through the eyes of someone else. So that requires perspective taking. It's shifting our worldview and being fully present to their worldview so that we can understand what it is that they are experiencing and how that experience is impacting them based on their perspective. We may not always agree 100% with other people's interpretations, other people's experiences, but that's not the objective. The objective is to try to see the situation from their vantage point, particularly if you are in ministry on some level as a practitioner. You have to listen, and you have to listen to what's not being said as much as what is being said. And so that's what empathic listening also involves. It's like reading between the lines. It's understanding the pregnant pauses, what's not being said. It's having an astute awareness of body language. And the reason why body language is so significant is because our body language registers how we are feeling before our mind even catches up to the idea. So think about it. Let's say, for instance, you are scared or shocked. Before the brain really processes why that is the case, your body registers that. Your heart might start to palpitate faster. You might start to perspire. So we have these physiological responses to stimuli. So because each person is stimulated differently based on how they've been acculturated, if I want to be helpful to other people, if I want to display compassion, then I have to take their perspective and be able to relate to them in the way that they understand, will receive, and will accept. There's a place for emotional intelligence in listening from the heart as well. And in very short order, I'm going to give you the 5 competencies, actually, is what they're referred to as, of emotional intelligence. I'm sure you've heard the phrase before, but I make no assumptions. So I'm going to share with you what each of those competencies are. Also, listening from the heart requires that we, and this is very, very challenging, turn off our judgment, our critical thinking, our evaluation, our assessment, so that we can be fully present for other people. When we start to criticize and to judge because we're using our life experience as the standard, then we're not fully present with the other person and we're imposing our worldview on them. And that's not what this is about. This is about being with people. This is about supporting people when they need it. And so to the degree that we can suspend judgment, that's going to serve us well. And that also is going to foster a deeper relationship with the other person. And then also, listening from the heart and empathic listening involves expressing our understanding. Expressing understanding is empathy, and that happens on an intellectual level. Now, I'm not saying that we want to sympathize with people. There's a difference. If we sympathize with people in their situations, then we can't help them because we are feeling or affected in the same way that they are. And so the consciousness that created a situation cannot solve the situation. So we always want to transcend the situation. We can express our understanding. And again, as I said, that happens on an intellectual level. I'm going to pause for a minute. Does anybody have any questions or any comments they'd like to interject? It is allowed. I don't like monologues. I like conversation and dialogue.
Can you say a little more, please, about perspective taking?
Yes. Perspective taking is for the moment, shifting your paradigm, shifting your worldview to be open and fully present to other people and their worldview. When you are in, like I'm currently in, a different culture, you have many opportunities to do that. Because you see, I have my paradigm, but my paradigm is not the same as people who populate Jamaica. So I have frequent occasion to just suspend my thinking about my lived experience to be open to hearing other people's experiences. And so oftentimes people will tell me how they've been shaped, how they've been acculturated, how they've been influenced. And so that gives me more accurate context around what they might be feeling or what they might be experiencing. With that level of understanding, I have more accurate data by which to support them. So let's say, for instance, if I were praying for them, seeing the world through their lens will enable my prayer for them to be more specific, to be more potent, as opposed to me imposing my worldview. So hopefully, Sandy, that makes the distinction between perspective taking and allowing our own personal lived experience and worldviews to influence and to filter how we listen to people.
Great, thanks, understood.
Thank you. All right. So what are it was originally 4, now there are 5 competencies that make up, that make up what is referred to as emotional intelligence. I'm trying to move my gallery here so that you all can see each competency. The first one is self-awareness. What are we talking about? It's being self-aware of our emotional self. It's being self-aware of what our experiences are. It's understanding what our biases are, what our filters are. So when we are self-aware and we acknowledge our feelings, our emotions, and our biases, then we're in a position to manage them or to preclude them from tainting or coloring what it is that we're hearing from the other person. Now, this really requires practice. And I cannot say that I'm a master of it, but I can say that I endeavor to be self-aware. And sometimes I have blind spots. When I have blind spots, my hope and my expectation is that people will give me feedback. And then I can no longer allege unawareness. I have the choice to change my behavior if it, of course, is not serving me or others well. So self-awareness is the number one competency with regard to emotional intelligence. The next one is self-regulation, and that's being able to manage one's emotions. So I used that example of sympathy earlier. When we sympathize with other people, we aren't managing our emotions. Because usually what happens is there's an affect that goes along with the emotion. And if someone is sharing with us on a deep level, usually it's something pretty serious or something profound. So what I want to do is I want to be there for the person. I want to be the problem solver or, offering ideas that might help change their reality or their experience. And I cannot do that if I can't manage my own emotions. So let's say they're very, very tearful, they're very sad, they're very depressed. If I take that on, if I absorb that, I'm no good to them. So I need to be able to regulate my emotions up and regulate my emotions down. And so you're probably knowing what the up is, but what about the down? So let's say that you just had an amazing day, that you've had myriad demonstrations in one day and you're just floating on cloud nine. And then someone comes to you and they need an ear, they need a sounding board. You'd have to regulate down because your enthusiasm, your joy, your excitement might be inappropriate for the situation that they are experiencing and encountering. So being masters of our emotions is a critical skill, knowing what's appropriate in light of the situation. The third competency is other awareness. And this is reading body language. This is reading the subtext. This is reading the silence. This is understanding what the volume is, because people will inflect when they are emotionally expressive. And sometimes they will shut down and withdraw and become more emotionally restrained. So if you really are attentive and attuned to how people typically show up, you have a sense of their personality. And if you see any deviation from that, then you know that something is going on and affecting that. And so your line of questioning could be something like, I notice a difference. You're showing up differently. What's going on? Just a very open-ended kind of question, because what you don't want to do is make assumptions and label. However, the more practice you have, the more accurate you are in identifying what's going on with other people. And that puts you in a better position to display your compassion. And as I defined last week, compassion, by my definition, is caring plus action to help people alleviate situations that they don't desire. And then lastly, it's about relationship building. I want you to think about a time that you were there for someone, they really needed you, or vice versa. Someone was there for you. They had an empathetic ear. They supported you. They were fully present. You were the center of their universe for the time that they were talking to you. What happened to your relationship afterwards? Usually what happens is your relationship is stronger. Your trust factor increases. So this is somebody that you feel now that you can trust. You have had a shared experience. And so that helps to build and fortify the relationship. And then lastly, there's empathy. So the person who first published, and the book is called Emotional Intelligence, and it was Daniel Goleman, published actually the research of other social scientists. He was a editor for the American Psychological Association. And based on everyone else's research, he wrote a book. And they had the 4 competencies, but he added the 5th, which is empathy. And the empathy is not just for other people. Sometimes we need to express empathy to ourselves. So what does that mean? Let's say that you didn't choose the highest road to take in a situation. You reflect back on it and you say, oh, I could have chosen differently. Oh, I could have done better. I could have been more diplomatic. So what Goleman says is that empathy that you extend to others also extend to yourself. So once you acknowledge that, yes, I could have done things differently, that increases your self-awareness. So the next time you're in that situation, then you are more mindful and you won't engage in, say, the lower order choices, but rather you will choose higher. So empathy is extended to others as well as to oneself. So what questions do you all have before we move on? I'm not, okay, I see one, Vance, come on in.
Yes, Rev. Can you say something? How can we offer support while avoid giving advice?
I really like that question. because what we don't want to do is get into advice giving. As a practitioner, as a coach, as a counselor, what I endeavor to do is to ask empathic questions so that people arrive at their own conclusions, make their own decisions. I do not want to be responsible for someone else's choices. So I don't give advice. Oftentimes, what I'll do is I'll give examples. I might even share some of my own personal stories. Ultimately, they get to exercise choice and free will. And so, what does that mean? That means they get to decide their next steps, their course of action. I'm there to listen. And as I said, I might make suggestions, but I do not get into advice giving. That will definitely backfire on you if someone acts on your advice and it doesn't work out the way that they desire. They're going to hold you responsible. Now, we know that really it's all about personal accountability, but not everybody is that spiritually mature. And so if they have not reached that level of maturation, one of the very first inclinations is to find someone else to blame as opposed to taking personal responsibility. So I say, stay out of the advice giving business, unless, of course, that is your business and people pay you to be a trusted advisor. Just offer suggestions, ask questions. And I really like the Socratic method. The Socratic method gets people to go deeper and deeper into their thought to come up with solutions that fit their unique situations. I don't care how empathetic I am, I will never, ever, unless I'm in their skin, know exactly 100% what they're feeling, what they're going through. So keeping that in mind, I cannot give advice because that is not my reality. That is their reality and that is their experience. Sandy.
Goldman had put empathy in social awareness or other awareness. What made it, how come it's out as a different competence?
Because it wasn't not based on other people's research. The book that he wrote, the first book, Emotional Intelligence, was based on other researchers, who he cites and who he quotes. He added empathy. And so, of course, he has to keep that separate because that's not their research. That's his personal research.
Okay, understood. And I would think this is the first I'm hearing about self-empathy. And it makes sense because, but I would think of it under self-regulation. So I did something and, oh darn, I shouldn't have, or I could have done something better. And so instead of beating upon myself, I maybe breathe deeply and, say some loving affirmations about myself. I would think that was self-regulation.
Not really. There is a subtle distinction.
Yeah.
Now the affirmations might uplift your emotional state, but the empathy is trying to see the situation, in this case, from a different vantage point. I always say that people would do better if they knew better, right?
Yeah.
And so oftentimes, hindsight is 20/20. So it's after we have had the experience that we reflect, and then we think about, oh, I could have done that differently. And so, yes, you want to be empathetic to yourself. And as I say, I affirm often, if I knew better, I would have done better. But now I know. And so we
Yes.
cannot change the past, but we definitely can influence the future in terms of how we show up moving forward. So subtle distinctions, but
Understood. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the question. Okay, so I'm going to move on. All right, so practice. I use a model in all of my work whereby I disseminate information and then I give people the opportunity to work with, have a kinesthetic experience of the information, because that's where true knowledge is transferred. So We have a small group, and so I can put you into pairs. And so, what is the exercise? So, the person whose birthday is nearest to today's date gets to start. So, they're person A. And what are they going to start doing? Without naming their feelings or their emotions, they're going to tell a story that invoked a high emotional response. It could be positive or it could be negative, but you were emotionally amped up. Your emotions were escalated, or otherwise, they tanked. Person B is listening from the heart. They are suspending judgment. They're not saying, "Oh gosh, I can't believe this person was affected by that. That wouldn't have bothered me." No, they have a clean slate and they are just fully present with you, endeavoring to understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling. And again, by discerning that, they have information to be more accurately supportive of you. So that's all they're doing is they're listening from the heart. They can ask questions. And so if you see, I put empathic inquiry. What is that? That's asking questions in a way that demonstrate that you care. It's not supposed to sound like the Spanish Inquisition where you're just shooting questions at people, questions after question. No, I'm asking the question because I really want to understand. I really want to be able to support. I really want to help. And then you ask your question in a loving way. And then after person A has shared their story, then they ask person B, what was the emotion? And then they validate, the person B will share, "Oh, I thought that you were really depressed in that situation." So person A says yes, or they say no. And then they share what emotion they were experiencing. Then you reverse roles. So person B becomes A and A becomes B. And you all will have 6 minutes. So 3 minutes per person. And again, you're not going to say, "Oh, I was so mad." No, you're going to tell the story without labeling the emotion. The person who is listening has to discern the emotion and the feeling back of your story. So are there any clarifying questions before I put you all into breakout rooms? So we will have 3 breakout rooms. We'll have 2, 3. I'm going to do 2 breakout rooms. So we'll have 1 triad and 2 dyads. So once I open the rooms, you all can join your rooms. And since you have 3 people, you need to decide an A, B, and C, right? And manage your time accordingly.
So you are going to participate as well?
I am not.
Okay, so then it's 6.
Well, the system does not put me in anyway. As
Okay.
so I'm not in there. So you're not going to see my name once you all join your breakout
So
room.
it's what, 2 groups of 3 or group
No,
of
no, let's see. Well, I don't know why. Why do I have? Let me go ahead and open the room because right now I have 2 rooms, but I'm not seeing all names. So let me. Okay. So you can join your room now, and I'll be your timekeeper.
I think because I am a host, I don't get to go into a room.
Would you like to? I can put you in a room.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. So I'm going to keep time.
But I'm just thinking about the synchronicity. Is that I'm doing the service 2 weeks time. And what my theme is what is your story?
Ooh. Okay, well then people will know how to listen with empathy as they hear each other's story. I love it. There's only one mind, right?
Yes.
So this link will be up and people will be able to access this presentation beyond tonight, yes?
Yes, they will.
Good, good, good. Do we ever look to see the number of hits we get?
Yes, we look at we look at the YouTube analytics and
Okay,
Facebook analytics, and it used to be on Facebook.
okay. Because what I wonder is, time and energy and effort goes into this. Is it reaching enough people? And so
We have some work to do in that regard.
okay, so that means we need to publicize more.
Yes,
And we can post these links in different places. So everybody who
yes,
has, for instance, a website,
yeah,
or they're part of a group can post.
yeah.
That will
Um,
help.
it would be good if we could get a social media, like a manager or something like that. But we are
Hmm.
all volunteers with a
Yes,
lot of other things to do. Yeah,
I know. I get it. And I really appreciate you all's commitment. I mean, the people who show up here every week, you show up at church every Sunday with the technical crew. I mean, that's really a commitment and it is so appreciated. But we need to expand because we don't want to wear you all out.
right. We are we are consciously recruiting some of the young people onto the team.
Good, good. That's great. I saw the young man with you all on Sunday. What's his name? Was that
Um,
was that Kevin?
Kevani, Kevani,
Oh, Kevin A. Kevin A. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, and he seems to like it. He seems to enjoy it.
yes, yes,
So,
yeah. He's going to come and learn the audio.
hmm, great. And then that will, once he's fully competent, that will relieve one or two of you from time to time.
Right, right.
Oh. So we're 3 minutes in, just so you know. So how are you going to process your piece on telling the story? You're going to put people in small groups, or they're going to get to speak in the large group?
I haven't fully worked it out as yet,
Mm-hmm.
so I just
All right.
let it come to me.
Okay. If you need technical support, I'll support you
Okay, all right,
as you have supported me. So
okay. We are live online. That's what they are telling me.
okay, I forgot. So we're at the 2 minute remaining mark. If you are online. And we have 1 minute remaining, so I am closing the breakout rooms now, and folks have 60 seconds to return. So we're waiting for folks to return from the small group, and then we'll debrief the conversations. Okay, so the question that I have for you, and it's a real high level question because you all shared intimately in your small groups. I'm not going to ask you to share in the large group in the same way. But what I want to know is, oh, everybody's back now. Okay, if everybody can mute, please.
Juan, can you mute, please? I think I'm hearing your fan.
Okay, I have muted everyone. All right, thank you all for your indulgence. And so my very high level question is, how did it feel to be heard, to have someone listen without judgment? How did that make you feel? So anybody can respond to that. And I suggest, again, you go into your reactions and raise your hand so that we're not tripping up over each other. Who's willing? How did it feel just to be the center of someone else's universe, even though it might have only been for 2 minutes? No takers. Well, I am not above inviting people into the conversation by name. Lilith, let's hear from you. How did it feel just to be the focal point of someone else's listening?
It's not fair.
I'm not calling other people. I'm fair.
I guess it was I was trying to listen without projecting myself on into the situation. So I had to keep telling myself, just listen, just listen, just listen.
It's a hard thing, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's a hard thing, you all, because we're the standard, right? Our lives are the benchmark that we use for everything else. We compare and we contrast everything against our lives, our experiences, etc. And so sometimes we do just have to say to ourselves, listen, be fully present. It's not about you. Right?
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, Lilith. All right, so let me invite Christine. Christine, let's hear from you. Real high level, what did it feel like?
I just listened. I'm from a different perspective. I just listened on my two-person. I kind of joined the group. For some reason, my computer is acting up. So I joined it late. So there was a conversation going on with Sandy and Yvonne. And I just listened. I never identified myself to say I was there. So by the time I was ready to speak now, it's time to go back. So I just found a lovely excuse to just come back into the main room. That's from that.
Okay. Well, thank you for your honesty. Carol, let's hear from you. You're not a shy one. Let's hear from you. How did it feel to be respected, to be heard, not be judged?
Well, that's always an empowering feeling to not be judged. And yeah, I think Lily was a good listener, and simply allowed me to express, which is good and helpful. I guess it was is something that has been on my mind for a while, and so it was good to just let it off. Not let it off in terms of, making a big deal, but just to get it off my mind.
Right, right. Thank you so much. And then let's hear from Y. Carty.
Yvonne.
Is that
Yvonne.
Yvonne? Okay, thank you. Yvonne.
Yes. Hi, I was with Sandy. And it took me a little while to grasp what we are supposed to do, but it was good for her to listen. And I had to kind of think a little bit what I'm to do. So as I was saying to Sandy, my brain sometimes go in slow motion. But it was good. Because my what I discussed with her was present. Something happened today, and it was good for her to listen.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much. And so, if you nailed it in terms of identifying the emotion that the speaker was experiencing or expressing, then go in and do a thumbs up. You got information that, yes, that's exactly what I was feeling. All right, Carol was spot on. Anybody else? All right, Sandy was spot on. So the thing is it takes practice, and it takes practice, as Lalith was saying, because it's so easy, you all, to go into our autobiography. That's how we're socialized. That's how we make sense of the world, is we relate everything to our lived experience. And so what listening from the heart requires is that we suspend that so that we can be with people fully, be fully present. So thank you for that. Let me just share my summary slides, and then we will go on to the rest of the program. Go. Okay, advance. It's doing weird things over here today. Okay, now I should be able to advance. No, it's doing weird stuff. Okay, let's see. There we go. All right. So in summary, when you listen from the heart, you focus on receiving the deep communication of another human soul. And you all, that is such a unique and such a special and privileged position to be in. To be with people, sometimes it's being with them when they're at their most vulnerable state. It could be their most concerned state, their most fearful state, but it could also be they are so enthusiastic and so joy-filled, you get to share those moments with them as well. So whenever you have the opportunity to listen from the heart, do know that you are establishing deeper bonds and building relationship, at least with the people to whom you're listening. And you're not just listening and just hearing, you are connecting at a soul level. So thank you all for participating. I'm going to stop sharing and turn the controls over to Vance.
It's time for prayer requests, Reverend Michelle.
Okay, thank you so much. Please treat for understanding and love. Gotcha. Are there any others? So let's begin. Oh, wait a minute, something in the chat. Maybe there's something nice in the chat. Okay. All right, so let's begin, and others might be so moved and inspired as we proceed. And so just take a deep cleansing breath. And breathe out any anxiety, any anxiousness. And breathe in the peace and the love of God. And what I know is that God is love. And God is infinite intelligence, therefore understanding everything. And I unify with the allness and the isness that God is. And I speak my word on behalf of Yvonne, accepting, declaring, and calling in love. Love in her life experience, love in all her relationships, love in the work that she does, the opportunity to express love and to be loved. And as she is loved, and as she reciprocates in kind, she has the opportunity to listen more deeply and to understand others, and the opportunity for her to be understood avails itself as well. So I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful that love reigns supreme, that of all of the virtues, love is the most significant one. It is everlasting. It changes the energetic of relationships. It increases people's ability to be present with others and to understand others as well as be understood. So I'm giving thanks for the realization of love and understanding in Yvonne's life. I know that this already exists in the mind of God, and each of us needs to wake up to this reality, for we are loved. We are lovable. We have the ability to express and to love others. What a gift. I'm so grateful, so thankful. So I release my word now, knowing that love and understanding are finding its way into not only Yvonne's experience, but everyone who is within the sound of my voice. So we let it be so now. And we anchor this prayer by affirming, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you.
Are there any other requests?
Can you
for
hear me?
prayer? Yes.
Because I'm just not getting this computer to align with me at all this evening. I would like treatment for health and well-being, especially for my mom.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Christine. And what I know is that Mother, Father, Life protects us, keeps us healthy and whole, heals us. And I'm calling that forth. I mean, invoking those qualities of the divine as I become one with those qualities of the divine. And I speak my word from that place on behalf of Christine's mother, knowing that she is being healed instantaneously in this very moment, which means she is whole, she is perfect, she is complete in every way. And although there are appearances to the contrary, we know the truth, we seek the truth. And so not only is this prayer request for Christine's mother, it's for Christine as well. We're blessing Christine, knowing that she has the physical, the emotional, the spiritual wherewithal to care for her mom, to be present with her mom, to support her mom when she's not feeling physically 100%, but we know spiritually she's always complete and perfect in every way. So I'm giving thanks for Christine. I'm giving thanks for her mom. I'm giving thanks for prayers answered. And I know that in the mind of God that each is feeling better. They're on their quest towards 100%, just feeling well, not experiencing discomfort or dis-ease, but rather perfect peace. This is my prayer. and it does not return void, but has made an impression upon the law. And the law can only do as commanded. And I command health, healing, wholeness, and integrity for Christine and her mother. So we let it be so. And we anchor this prayer by affirming, and so it is.
So it is.
So
Thank
it
you.
is.
You're
So,
welcome. You're welcome.
thank you.
Anyone else? Well, I'm just going to do a quick affirmative prayer for everyone who's here.
There are a couple requests in the chat.
Oh, okay. I just saw Christine's and I treated for that. So Sandy has a request. Light for my son, Kevin. Absolutely. So let's take
Clarity
that
for
journey.
Carol. Mhm.
Let's take that journey inward yet again. And as we declare that God is all there is, that God is light, that God is love, and we unify with the light that God is. What I know is that as we elevate our consciousness, that we are sending out a consciousness search light, whereby we are illumined. We truly are the lights of the world. And I speak this word not only for myself, but for Kevin and for everyone who is present here tonight and who's online. Light. What does that mean? That means increased understanding. What does that mean? That means illumination. What does that mean? That means looking at situations with the highest order of intelligence for our thoughts and our thought atmosphere have been heightened, illuminated by the very essence of God. And so I'm thankful for the outpicturing of spirit as light in Kevin's experience. And also for Sandy for having the consciousness to make a prayer request on behalf of her son. And what I know is when we treat for others, we are doing a mighty work. So I'm grateful and thankful for the opportunity to be in service. I'm grateful and thankful for all of us here within the sound of my voice to have the lights turned on, the lights of our head, the lights of our heart. We are illumined in only the way that God can illumine us. So I give thanks and I release my word unto the law of manifestation, knowing that all of the laws of existence are corresponding and conspiring to this end right here and right now. And we rejoice. We give thanks for illumination, for we are the Illuminata. And we let it be so now. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
Mhm.
So it is.
So did I catch everything in the chat? Looks like I have. So we have 5 minutes remaining, and now I turn it over to you, I believe. Ann.
Clarity for Carol.
Oh, how come I'm not seeing these? That's interesting. Okay. I am not seeing these. All right, so let's continue to be in this circle, the sacred circle of prayer. And we are invoking the faculty of God that is clear, crystal clear. We are unifying with this faculty of God. And in so doing, all Carol needs, she now knows. She has absolute clarity, absolute certainty regarding her situation. If a decision has to be made, she has clarity around the decision that is to her highest good. If the clarity is to deepen understanding of a current situation, let it be so now. For God is here providing for us even before we ask. So we are calling forth clarity, and the Father, Mother God, is delivering clarity right here and right now to Carol. So she has elevated awareness, consciousness, certainty, discernment, and everything that she needs to make informed choices and decisions. She taps into right now, for they are within her. And by aligning with spirit, she is invoking this clarity into her lived experience. So I'm giving thanks for the opportunity to tap into spirit, to connect, to be of one accord with spirit, to use the powers of God for our own lives and for the enhancement and the enrichment of the lives that we touch and encounter. I release my word, knowing that it is done, and we let it be so. And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is. Thank you.
My pleasure. So I know we're going to update you all on what is forthcoming. So the quiet moments in the garden continue on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with the Reverend John Scott. And this happens at 6 a.m. What an auspicious time. The sun is rising, and we are seeing just the world come to life. And then also every day at noon, check in to Noon Bites, where Reverend Ann gives you something profound to think about and to process throughout the day. And trust me, I'm sure that you will satiate your curiosity and your hunger for deep thought. Noon Bites every day at 12 o'clock with Reverend Ann. Join this week's prayer power. It happens on Thursday evening at 6 o'clock and 5 p.m. on the last Thursday of the month. So do come. Be lifted up by the transformative power of prayer, God's love, light, peace, and we cannot forget joy. So there is a Zoom link that can be found on our Facebook page. We are not at a loss for time and opportunity to pray. So just plug in whenever there is a need, because prayer is always going on at the Temple of Light. And then on Thursday, the 5th of October, I am starting a 10-week series on You Were Born Rich. And this is based on the work of Bob Proctor. If you've already signed up, you should have gotten the PDF and you should have gotten the YouTube link, because we don't have to buy any materials. How about that? Because it's all in public domain currently. So instead of buying the book, you get to listen to the book audibly. And so what will happen is you will listen to each week. You don't have to listen in advance of this week. This week is more of an introductory session, but you'll listen to each chapter. You'll come to the session having the exercises completed in your workbook, and then also any questions or comments or any deepening of understanding that you have with regard to the chapter that you read in the week prior to showing up on Thursday. And so I refer to this as a money experiment. What is that? I don't charge tuition, but I do strongly implore you to give consistently of your treasure each week. And it's an honor system, so nobody's counting or tracking or asking you, what did you earn this week? You better give 10%, nothing like that, because we accept gifts that are given with a joyful heart. But the reason why the experiment and the consistency is because when you establish this as a regular practice, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, but then you know that your every need is always supplied, and that these principles do work if you work them. And so by tithing every week, you are working the principle, you're activating the laws of circulation, the laws of prosperity, the laws of correspondence, and creating the outpicturing of your heart's desire. As you give, you will receive, multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So join me 11:30 to 1:30 on Thursday, starting this Thursday. And Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. And it just started September the 7th. I believe they're into their third or fourth week, but I don't think it's too late for you to pop in to deepen your understanding of Bible wisdom. The Bible is such a phenomenal work, and anybody who considers themselves an intellect or a scholar has read the Bible. So if you haven't, I strongly encourage you to join this class because you get to read and interpret the Bible metaphysically, not literally, metaphysically, metaphorically, and analogies are used to deepen your understanding, because every single parable in the Bible is really the universal story for all individuals. So sign up for a Science of Mind class and join in with Reverend Sonia and Steve and Vance each week on Thursday. Ignite your life with Bible wisdom. And it's not too late. I believe Friday is a cutoff date. So if you've not paid for your registration, you want to jump on that so that you can join us at Paradise Cove over in Runaway Bay as we have a weekend for deep and profound thought about living a life that is filled with purpose and meaning. We're also going to have fun. We have adjusted the agenda so that there's some downtime. Why go to Paradise and not have time to partake of it? So we have built in time to just be, time to swim, time to play tennis, whatever that brings your heart joy, there is time for that. And so our retreat leader will be Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones. He is a renowned author and a contributor to Science of Mind magazine and has done that for many, many years. So please join us the weekend of October 27th to 29th, and we are accepting payment. And Friday is the cutoff day. So please make sure you don't miss this phenomenal opportunity. And of course, join us each and every Sunday at the Temple of Light, whereby we give you words of encouragement, whereby you get to fellowship with like-minded people. Sometimes on Sunday, we have discovery discussions to deepen your understanding about specific topics. So there's something there for everyone. So please join us in person, particularly if you're tuning in live. Show up. We need your presence. We need your energy in the space. So I look forward to seeing you on Sunday, 9 a.m., Temple of Light. And so on Tuesdays, as I said, we are not wanting for prayer. You should never, ever have a concern. You should never have or lack information to make informed choices, because we have people who are consistently and unceasingly praying on your behalf. All you need do is ask. And on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on Zoom and on YouTube Live, it's like we're doing right now, we will give you something to stimulate your thinking. Sometimes we'll teach you some new skills, but most importantly, we take time to support you in prayer. And if you feel moved to support this ministry, you feel as though your soul has been nourished spiritually, then you give to the place that satisfies your spiritual yearnings and meets your spiritual needs. So donate to templeoflightcsl.org. And we are so grateful and thankful for your generosity and for helping us, all of the members of Temple of Light, to be beacons of light for the world. And so we will close out with this affirmation. Lovingly I give, joyfully I receive. Be thou fruitful, increase and multiply. Bless, prosper, and enrich everyone whom you touch, and replenish all of your and my financial affairs. We're so grateful and thankful. Thank you, Father. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. And so now, if we could say the prayer for our center, we like to stay prayed up at Temple of Light. So the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living is a sacred field embodying our spiritual community from which Christ, peace, love, and joy emanate to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, and liberate anyone who comes in contact with it in any way. The light of the Christ illumines us, our center, and our environment. Our spiritual community is filled with and surrounded by
the presence
of God, and is growing from strength to strength. The power of God expands our consciousness of truth, guiding us ceaselessly along the paths of wisdom, spiritual growth, unfoldment, and attainment.
Yes.
We are blessed, and to God be the honor and glory forever. And so it is. Amen. And now our prayer for our beloved Jamaica. The radiant light of God's love is now flowing through us and from us to everything and everyone it touches. The eternal light of God's love now completely fills, covers, and surrounds our island, Jamaica. The glowing intensity of the light of God's love now interpenetrates and awakens within the hearts and minds of our countrymen and women. The truths of life which set free. The light of God's love is growing and glowing in intensity in the hearts and the minds of mankind everywhere. Love, health, harmony, goodwill, peace, uprightness, integrity, joy, prosperity, kindness, and our oneness under God are now established. And so it is.
And so it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
So thank you all for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week. Go
Thank
forth
you.
and prosper. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.